We're now having an interview with Mr. René Trübenbach, the sales manager of Mutag BioChip, developed and produced by Multi-Umwelttechnologie AG. Hello.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. We would like to introduce the product Mutag BioChip to potential customers as well as to clarify a lot of open questions for users and for customers.
Yeah, sure. I will be pleased to answer your questions properly in this matter.
And your explanations should be also appropriate for non-professionals.
This should not be a problem, I guess.
Alright, let's start with my first question. Could you please explain the product Mutag BioChip in general?
Yes, of course. The Mutag BioChip is a specially designed high-performance biofilm carrier with an active surface area which provides a habitat for microorganisms.
And in which sectors can the Mutag BioChip be used?
Yeah, it is used in the water and wastewater treatment, of course.
May I ask in which particular aspects of wastewater treatment?
Yeah, for example, for COD and BOD removal, for nitrification and also for denitrification in MBBR-based plants, as well as in combination with activated sludge as IFAS, that means integrated fixed film activated sludge process.
Could you please explain the term MBBR to me?
Yes, for sure. I could explain to you right now MBBR and IFAS process in detail, but I think it would take too long. I think it's better if you have a look at YouTube and just search for the keywords Mutag MBBR technology and Mutag IFAS technology.
That's an excellent advice, Mr. Trübenbach.
Yes, by the way, Mutag has uploaded a lot of posts on YouTube.
Is the Mutag BioChip the only product you provide to your customers?
No, not only. You must know that all the brand constructors who buy the Mutag BioChip from us, they also benefit from our profound know-how which we've gained during building up our first installations.
And are you providing your material to other constructors as well?
Yes, surely. We can, of course, not mount our installations anywhere in the world because we do not have the capacities to do it on our own, but we are able to deliver our Mutag BioChip carriers as well as our profound know-how to almost everywhere in the world. And I must say, we are very successful with that.
As to summarize this, your customers benefit from your procedural know-how for pilot trials in large-scale plants.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We do not only provide a single plastic product, but we also support our customers in all biological, procedural, and plant-specific needs.
Alright, would it be possible to have a closer look on the Mutag BioChip?
Yes, for sure.
What are the advantages of the Mutag BioChip in comparison to other carrier media, and what does a customer gain by buying your product?
That's an interesting question. First of all, I would like to mention that the Mutag BioChip differs in an extremely high active surface area in comparison to a lot of other carrier media available on the market.
And is it possible to name a number for this active surface area?
Yes, for sure. The Mutag BioChip has a surface area of more than 3,000 square meters per cubic meter, or in other words, more than 915 square feet per cubic feet.
That is a factor between 3 and 8 in relation to other conventional carrier.
Yes, exactly, that's right. You should consider that so-called conventional carrier media are specified to have an active surface area of approximately 350 to 1,100 square meters per cubic meter only.
That seems a bit elusive to me. Is there any proof of that?
As a matter of fact, the surface area of the Mutag BioChip had been measured by an intense scanning electron microscopy procedure executed by the University of Bielefeld, namely by Professor Dr. Hütten.
And are there some more sources proving this surface area?
During a long-term phase of research and development, we had the chance to operate a vast number of pilot planes in parallel with the Mutag BioChip on the one hand and with conventional carriers on the other hand, whereas both carrier types had to treat the same substrate. By doing so, it was possible to us to determine the coefficient of the surface area from the BioChip compared to a conventional carrier.
So you've mentioned pilot plants. Which specific reaction volume has such a pilot plant?
Yeah, the most of our pilot plants, we have 14 in total currently, they have a volume of approximately 3,000 liters.
Often, an internal clogging of the cylindrical carriers can occur, which leads to a reduction of the surface area.
Yes, that's right, this might happen.
And is that the same with the Mutag BioChip? Can it get clogged?
I'd like to say that it's always possible that any cylindrical carriers may get clogged, but
But?
even if a carrier is fully attached with biomass, it does not mean that this is a disadvantage for the efficiency. It is more crucial that the organisms are optimally provided with essential substrates.
And which kind of substrates are that?
Yeah, that depends on the application. This can be nitrogen, phosphorus, oxygen, and of course the substrates out of the wastewater. That means the pollutants.
In this case, what is the difference between Mutag BioChip and other cylindrical carriers such as simple pipe sections?
Based upon our experience, we can say that the diffusion depth is one of the most crucial factors in the process.
What is the meaning of the so-called diffusion depth?
Roughly said, the diffusion depth describes how deep the substrates can enter into the deeper layers of the biofilm.
And what can you tell me about the average diffusion depth?
This is quite hard to say because it depends on several factors. But in general, you can say that the optimal diffusion depth is about 0.5 to 1 millimeter.
Regarding to this, what makes the Mutag BioChip so special?
If you should really be interested in this subject, then I would like to get back to our clips on YouTube, and we have of course also a special clip about this particular subject.
And which special keyword do I have to type in?
Search for Mutag Biofilms Movie 1.
Nevertheless, may I ask you for a brief description?
Yes, for sure. See, the dimensions of the Mutag BioChip are similar to a €1 coin. Please take this Mutag BioChip and hold it up into the light. You can see the detailed pore system, which is accessible from both sides of the chip.
You're absolutely right.
You must also note that the chip has an average thickness of approximately 1 millimeter, so the organisms are optimally provided with substrates from both sides of the chip.
And what does it mean in this particular case?
Among others, it means that the organisms cannot die from a lack of nourishment caused by clogging, so they are always sufficiently provided as far as there are enough substrates or nutrients in the water, respectively.
So what you're trying to say is that even if the Mutag BioChip is fully colonized by biofilms, there aren't any limitations.
Yes, exactly. The more adequately nourished biomass on the surface of the carrier, the higher the treatment efficiency.
Pardon me, I didn't get the context between surface area, biomass, and efficiency.
You must know that the active surface area, as well as the supplied biomass on the surface of the carrier, are crucial in the biological treatment process.
Consequently, only the biomass provided with substrates at a diffusion depth of 1 millimeter is crucial for the efficiency.
Yes, that's it. And one has to understand this major benefit with regard to the purchase decision.
Hence, this is a significant advantage.
Yes, indeed.
May I ask you if it's possible to get some samples of your Mutag BioChip?
Yeah, surely. We would be very glad to provide you with samples. You just need to send us an email to info@mutag.de and to indicate your address.
Are there any additional advantages of the Mutag BioChip for the customers?
Yes, surely. The relatively small volume in relation to the actively usable surface is definitely worth being mentioned.
And what can be said about the relatively small volume?
First of all, you need significantly less carrier bulk volume.
Why is that so?
Due to the large surface area per cubic meter, the bulk volume is reduced by the factor 3 to 8 compared to other carriers.
Reduced by a factor of 3 to 8?
Yes. You must know that conventional carriers, especially those of cylindrical shape, are significantly more voluminous than the Mutag BioChip carrier. The larger volume of conventional carriers is caused by hollow spaces, whereas these hollow spaces do not offer any advantage.
And how can the customer gain a benefit through the reduced carrier bulk volume?
Yeah, first of all, there is a benefit in the transport to the place of destination.
As a consequence, there's no need to transport 3 to 6 lorries or containers.
Exactly. In this case, if you would use Mutag BioChip, then you would need only one unit.
I see, and as far as I know, shipments in the export trade can be really cost-intensive.
Yes, that's absolutely true. But let me tell you another advantage of the reduced carrier bulk volume. For example, the filling of the media into the tank and also the moistening of the carrier media saves a significant amount of time as well.
That's a nice advantage. By the way, are there some more advantages concerning the volume?
A definitely not irrelevant advantage of the Mutag BioChip is in the savings in the volume of the treatment tanks.
And how is that to be understood?
Basically, the biological removal efficiency correlates with the hydraulic retention time, the HRT, and the active biomass in the tank, that means the colonized carriers, whereas the HRT is calculated by dividing the tank volume by the volume flow.
How is that to be seen in the practical experience?
In practice, it means that the efficiency can be maximized by applying a maximum or optimum filling level at lower tank volumes.
This means that even the efficiency of small tanks can be optimized by using Mutag BioChip.
Yes, definitely. An optimization of the efficiency is possible with our carrier.
And what is the maximum concerning the filling level?
Regardless of other limiting factors, the maximum filling level in MBBR plants is in general approximately 60%.
And why only 60%?
It's in order to ensure an adequate mixing. You must know that at higher filling levels, that means filling levels exceeding 60%, would require much more process air or mixing energy.
If I would compare the advantage of the active surface area of the Mutag BioChip with conventional carrier using a coefficient between 3 and 8, could there be another elementary advantage?
Yeah, sure. If a filling level of 60% has reached while using other carrier media, the filling level while using Mutag BioChip is 3 to 8 times lower.
In a direct comparison to 60%, this would only be a filling level of 7 to 20%.
Yes, exactly. Fantastic, isn't it?
But yeah, it is, but 60% could be applied as well.
Yes, of course. So the possible efficiency, depending on other limiting factors, of course, is many times higher.
And what type of limiting factors could that be?
For example, this could be the supply of sufficient oxygen, in other words, the efficiency of the process air supply system.
Alright, I see it, but I would like to get back to the filling level.
Yes, please.
And therefore, could you please mention a practical example?
Yes, sure. In the paper mill wastewater treatment plant, we have installed an additional identical MBBR to an already existing MBBR tank, which was operated at a filling level of approximately 50%, whereas it was filled with a bigger carrier. The additional MBBR was built for operation in parallel with the older MBBR and was filled with Mutag BioChip carriers.
And what was the filling level with the Mutag BioChip in comparison to the 50% mentioned by you?
It was in accordance with the different surface areas of the both carriers.
Different surface areas?
Yes, see, the bigger carrier had a surface area of approximately 300 square meters per cubic meter, whereas the Mutag BioChip provides 3,000 square meters per cubic meter.
Wow, that is a coefficient of 10.
Yes, exactly. So we had to add only 5% of Mutag BioChip carriers for reaching the same and even higher treatment efficiency.
So that's just 5% compared to 50%. That is quite amazing.
Yes, it is. This is due to the active surface area of the Mutag BioChip, which is extremely large. As I said, it is 3,000 square meters per cubic meter, or 915 square feet per cubic foot, respectively.
Which kind of material do we use for manufacturing the Mutag BioChip?
Oh, that's an important question. The Mutag BioChip is exclusively made of polyethylene virgin material because recycled granulate material is neither definable in its density nor in its consistence.
Recycled granulate material?
Yes, you must know that the most conventional carriers are made of recycled granulate material, and this is made of various components, so it is possible that it contains a higher amount of polypropylene as well. Consequently, the density of the material may also differ because of the non-controllable consistence. And later on in the production process, it will not be possible to adjust the density of the material.
This means that I will get a non-definable product with impurities while buying recycled granulate material.
Yes, that's absolutely true. You will get a non-exactly definable hybrid product, which can also contain various other substances originating from the recycled product.
Do you think that the Kois and McCoy point or the organisms on the carrier like that?
Oh no, I don't really think so, but in the end it depends. Anyway, it is advisable to buy virgin material and not to buy any recycled granulate material.
You did mention the density of the material.
Yes, the material density is important because it determines whether the carrier can be kept in suspension or not. That means it determines whether the carrier is floating or sinking to the bottom of the tank.
And normally you should have a well-mixed tank, shouldn't you?
Yes, definitely. And therefore, a constant and controllable material density is very important, at least from a productional point of view.
Are any indications about the density for sponge-type carriers adequate?
Actually not, because in that particular case, a special procedural know-how is required.
Alright, so let's talk about the durability and abrasion.
Yes, okay, let's do this.
When do I have to exchange, renew, replace, or even dispose the material?
For a purpose-intended use of the carrier media, the durability of the PE material is quite important, among others.
Could this be 10 years or let's say even a lifetime?
Yes, sure. You can compare it to the specific lifespan of PE products.
What's about the mechanical abrasion due to the permanent movement in the tank?
In comparison to bigger, heavier, or even clogged carriers, the Mutag BioChip has got a very low net weight and doesn't carry any biologically inactive biomass on it.
And what is the average net weight of one single carrier element?
The average net weight of one single Mutag BioChip carrier element is approximately 0.17 grams.
That's as light as a feather.
Indeed. So due to this very low average net weight, an abrasion on the edges of the carrier is almost impossible.
And consequently, the kinetic energy released by a Mutag BioChip colliding with a tank wall is much lower.
Yes, it is the lower kinetic energy. Its mass multiplied by the square of the velocity multiplied by 0.5.
And is the velocity comparable to other carrier?
No, not at all. The velocity of the Mutag BioChip in movement is lower as well.
Did I get that right, that not only the weight but also the velocity of the carrier reacts positively on the calculation of the equation?
Yes, that's absolutely right.
By the way, I've seen that conventional carrier media available on the market are cleaned by means of an airlift pump inside the tank. Thereby, a high amount of kinetic energy affects the carrier.
Yes, with these conventional carriers, the airlift pumps are normally used for the removal of the internal and biologically inactive biomass. But this is not necessary with the Mutag BioChip due to the optimal diffusion depth. And by the way, the surface area of the Mutag BioChip is permanently self-cleaning by means of shear forces.
The surface area is cleaned by shear forces?
Yes, considering that no internal spaces of the Mutag BioChips need to be cleaned, the Mutag BioChips clean themselves automatically by an occasionally occurring attrition in the stream.
This means that they clean each other.
Yes, exactly. This was what I'm trying to say.
Alright, and to summarize this, you can save energy as you don't need an airlift pump, no mechanical impacts occur, and there is a self-cleaning effect. Well, I've seen that the chips are not completely plain, thus they are paraboloid like the famous crisp springles.
Yes, thanks to the paraboloid shape, the chips are being moved very well by the water and air stream for mixing. So in other words, you could say that they've got the effect like a sail in the wind.
What do the biofilms on the Mutag BioChip look like, and what kind of organisms are settled on the carrier?
That's a quite comprehensive topic. And for this purpose, we have got another clip on YouTube named Mutag Biofilms Movie 2.
And where is the Mutag BioChip used, and where can you find the market for this innovative product?
Since the market launch of the Mutag BioChip, which was preceded by a comprehensive R&D and testing phase, the Mutag BioChip is being marketed by us worldwide.
Really worldwide?
Yes, the Mutag BioChip is distributed by us on a worldwide basis, and we deliver it to each continent.
And where especially is it used?
There is a huge number of fields of application, and I'd like to start mentioning the smaller ones. These are, for example, koi and swimming ponds, but also the aquaculture sector, and compact and containerized wastewater treatment plants.
This sounds reasonable to me, that you can realize a significantly higher biological degradation efficiency of containerized wastewater treatment plants when using the Mutag BioChip.
Yes, of course. There are already numerous containerized wastewater treatment plants existing, which have been delivered by our Mutag BioChip customers, for example to the US, but also to Germany, to the territory of the Russian Federation, to Iraq, and also to Malaysia, for example.
And what about large-scale plants?
We've got, of course, numerous plants with the Mutag MBBR technology operated with Mutag BioChip as well.
Therefore, could you please provide me with some details?
Yes, sure. Just have a look at the following pictures. They show some of our installations.
Your installations?
Yes, these are only our installations. You must know that our Mutag BioChip customers' plans are not captured for reference purpose.
As I can see from the pictures, there are 3D models of wastewater treatment plants.
Yes, you're right. These are installations engineered by us, which are still under construction and which have a longer construction period due to their complexity.
Ah, yeah, I get that.
As it can also be seen in the 3D models, we are able to supply a highly extended basic engineering on demand. Due to the fact that we are not just a simple supplier of a plastic product, our Mutag BioChip customers can benefit enormously.
You mentioned basic engineering.
Yeah, if necessary, we do not only provide basic engineering, but also detail engineering, mounting supervision, commissioning on site, and after-sales service, which is very important to us.
This is really interesting.
Certainly, yes. And we also supply basic designs for single MBBR tanks, as well as for complete wastewater treatment plants. For this reason, we use an internationally acknowledged design software, and we are also running pilot trials on site.
I consider this a never-ending conversation, and I would personally like to summarize the conversation. The customers will be provided with a lot of advantages buying your product, the Mutag BioChip.
Yes, you get it right to the point. I can fully confirm this and would also like to point out that our success can be seen as an evidence for that.
Please have some closing words.
Yeah, I would like to say thanks to everyone who is interested in our Mutag BioChip carrier, and if you should have any questions, do not hesitate to contact us.
Thank you very much for this quite interesting conversation, and I'd like to wish you all the best for you and especially your company.
Oh, thank you very much. It was nice talking to you.